All right, guys, we've got a big, massive haul that I'm going to talk to you about today. Lots of fragrances. And I think if you guys caught my video a few days ago, maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know when this video is going to air, but I did a video on Zealy fragrances. And those took about 2.5 months to be delivered to me from Joma Shop. So this haul video has gotten delayed. So some of the fragrances I'm going to talk to you about today that I was going to initially feature in this haul video, I've already spoken about. I've actually featured them in a few fragrances, so you might be familiar with them. But there's a lot of new fragrances here that I haven't spoken about ever, and I'm going to talk to you about them today in this haul video. So this is going to be one of those deep dive long form videos. We're going to open the packages up, smell the fragrances, and let you know about the different fragrances that I have bought within the last, well, it's almost 3 months as of the shooting of this video, because I bought the Zealy fragrances at the beginning of June, and along the way I bought a few others, but because I was waiting for those to arrive. And if you haven't caught that video on Zealy fragrances, please do go catch that video. I've left those fragrances till the end of this video because I've already spoken about them and have done an actual video about them. But one of them is really, really awesome. Totally worth having in your collection. If you don't have it, go discover it because it's super awesome. But let's get started with the list. Starting off at the beginning, and this is not in alphabetical order today. I put all these fragrances in a box, so as I was taking them out, I wrote down the names. So I've got a few pages of fragrances and one small sheet of fragrances. And the first fragrance, this came out earlier this year. I think this was out around February in Europe. This is Frederic Malle's Portrait of a Lady, the 15th anniversary edition. So Portrait of a Lady is celebrating 15 years. I first discovered it in 2012. And it had just launched 2 years prior to that. It's a 2010 launch. This is the limited edition bottle for the anniversary, the 15th anniversary of the fragrance. The box itself is the same, pretty much. I think it is the same. No, actually, the other box has... I'm looking at the box that way. The other box seems like it has the name on flush to the left. This is centered, so it is a bit different as far as packaging goes. But the package that the bottle fits in, or the box I should say, is the same as every other package. And when I first bought Portrait of a Lady for the first time at Barney's in 2012, I bought the 50 ml bottle because at that time I thought it was so expensive. I was fairly new to very expensive niche fragrances. That was the first time I received the Frederic Malle fragrance, and I was like, where's the cellophane? Is this an open package they're selling me? Yeah, so Frederic Malle fragrances do not have any cellophane. And then I think after that I started buying Creed and noticed that Creed doesn't have the cellophane on their bottles, their boxes as well. But here's the bottle. It's a nice red bottle. It's a great collector's bottle, I should say. But honestly, I've tested this one out, and I'm noticing such differences. The fragrance is... the fragrance seems... The word thinner is the right word to use here. It has gotten thinner. It doesn't have the depth that I remember the first time experiencing it. I feel like the rose has been toned down as well a bit, because it's quite peppery, spicy here. And it's definitely a very spicy fragrance. There's a lot of spices here. I'll eventually do a comparison video with this version. This is mostly the latest version. And I have a version probably bought around 5 years ago. And I still have my 50 ml bottle from 2012. So we can do a comparison of the three. I mean, don't get me wrong. This still smells great. I love it. I love this DNA. It was an instant love. You know, I've mentioned this story many times in my videos. You've probably heard it multiple times. I went into Barney's to buy a bottle of Black Afghano, and I quickly smelled the people testing out Portrait of a Lady, and I was like, That is one of the best things I have ever smelled in my life. I went back 2 weeks later and bought a 50 ml bottle. But this seems weak. It seems thinned out. It doesn't smell identical. But most people that are discovering Portrait of a Lady for the first time, you know, they haven't smelled anything else. And a lot of them are probably newbies when it comes to niche. They're probably very familiar with mass market fragrances. And they smell this and they'd be like, wowed, even though they had never smelled what was selling pre-Estee Lauder, because Frederic Malle is now under Estee Lauder. I mean, they've been under Estee Lauder for 10 years now. I think they were, was it around 2015 or 2016 when they signed the deal? So it's still a great fragrance, but it's changed for sure. There's definitely changes here, unfortunately. And this is the latest version of it, a 2025 version of it. And for me, it's great to have a collector's edition of it. But I'm bummed that that's what happens with fragrances. And unfortunately, if you don't know that fragrances will get reformulated, it's a real thing. Fragrances are constantly getting reformulated. Not like fragrances are, sometimes if fragrances are not set out to be reformulated, they're still getting reformulated because they're changing all the time. Because, you know, they're using natural ingredients along with synthetic ingredients. So how they get the smell to smell the same when you pick a flower and it smells one way and the same flower off the same bush another day smells different, kind of a thing. So they're kind of working with a lot of chemistry and the fact that some flowers don't smell the same and all that good stuff. But anyway, I'm glad to have Portrait of a Lady 15th Anniversary Edition. I'm surprised it's 15 years old. As I said, I discovered 2 years after it was launched in 2012. Very end of 2012 it was. But yeah, I've been a big fan of it. I think it's definitely one of the best fragrances ever created. And I wouldn't say it's a feminine fragrance personally. I personally wouldn't. It's a really strong, spicy, woody, ambery, rosy fragrance. But I think the word lady is a bit of a turnoff for some folks. I don't have a problem with that fragrance, but some people might. Okay, next, one other thing I should say is it is a Chypre style. So I think it's a spicy Chypre. And then the next one is also a Chypre. It's brand new. I haven't spoken about it at all. It's my first Rabanne collection fragrance. Is that what it's called? So they launched their exclusive collection last year. And it's like 9 fragrances. There was a lot. Maybe it was 7. They just launched a new one, a leather, this year. But they launched this collection last year. I sampled it in Selfridges last August. And I've been eyeing several of them. Earlier this year, I bought a discovery set from Selfridges. Did a video on it. And this was one of my favorites that I wanted to have. This is called Armure Mara. As you can see right there. This is a fragrance created by... It'll come to me. Let's move on with the fragrance itself. So it does say Fraise Velour, Jasmine Absolute, Vanille Bourbon, Patchouli. And again, this is my very first... This is a pretty heavy bottle. So Rabanne is right there. You can see me holding up the... So reflective. So this is a Chypre style, and it does feature strawberry as a note. If you want to learn more about this collection, go catch that video. I can't remember if this was a refillable bottle or not. It is. It does come off. So Paco Rabanne dropped the name of Paco off of their brand after Paco passed away several years ago. This does... Okay, the name of the perfumer finally came to me. It's Aliénor Massenet, who's been doing a lot of who's done a lot of Memo Paris fragrances. This is... It's floral. It's fruity. And also that patchouli is there. So if you guys don't know what chypre fragrances are, this is considered a chypre style. I would call this a fruity chypre, whereas the Portrait of a Lady, I think, is more of a spicy chypre. This to me, now that I'm smelling it off of the bottle and I have it, there is an underlying Middle Eastern kind of notes. Maybe there's a strong amber woods kind of feature in here. I'm smelling a patchouli, but when I first sprayed it, there was a pretty potent jammy strawberry effect happening up top as well. So I'm gonna have to test this one, wear it. I've worn Portrait of a Lady many times, but I'm glad to have finally a bottle from this collection. There's several. They've been exclusive to Selfridges. I don't know if their USA website would have these fragrances. I ordered this off of Selfridges, and thankfully, I didn't have to pay any extra duties or anything like that, because earlier this year I ordered some stuff from Harrods, and it was like a 700 something pound order, and after it came, it was DHL. I was told I have to pay $400 on top of that. I had just said cancel the whole thing. I sent it all back. I didn't want to pay $400. Might as well just buy it here, kind of a thing. But thankfully, when that arrived from Selfridges, I didn't have to pay anything extra. Although the prices now are so... There's not a lot of difference between buying it over there and here, but this collection is not really selling here. So I'm not really ordering a lot from over there. Only things I can't get, I would order from Selfridges or Harrods. But I prefer to order from Selfridges because Selfridges has the yearly shipping fee. Once you pay it, you don't have to pay shipping every time. Harrods doesn't have that, and their shipping is like $40 or 40 pounds or $40. And every time you pay, it's 40, whereas the Selfridges is one time. It used to be around 60. I think it's gone up a little bit, and I can't remember what it was, but you don't have to pay the shipping anymore. It's a one-time shipping, and it's good for a year. You can order as many things as you want. So now I think if I order one item at a time, the price is not going to be so high that they're going to put the duties on it, the duty cost or whatever. All right, so we're sticking with the Puig family. I've got 3 fragrances back to back. First was the Rabanne Armure Mara. Now I've got Dries Van Noten Havana Gold. Really awesome, kind of a sticky, spicy tobacco fragrance. So we are talking about Puig. Puig is a distributor for brands. So Rabanne is under Puig. Dries Van Noten is under Puig. And then the next fragrance I'm going to talk about is from Louboutin, which I've already discussed, both the Dries Van Noten Havana Gold and Louboutin L'Ambre. They're both under Puig, and both of them are really, really awesome. I do prefer both of them are ambery as well, but I do prefer the L'Ambre from Louboutin a little bit more than the tobacco. It's tobacco fragrance called Havana Gold. But both of them are really, really great. This is also so potent, created by Jordi Fernandez. It's super sticky kind of tobacco, but not super smoky. There's very much an ambery presence, and it also has, I think, licorice and anise. I think it's star anise, not anise. They're different spices. I kind of grew up with anise, and I really, really love the flavor, and I also love it in fragrances. So it's not easy to find this note, or there's a variety of spices that are kind of sort of similar. Licorice, I think, falls into that category. Fennel can come into that category. Maybe absinthe and things like that. So I really love these spices, and it's rare to find fragrances that feature them. I mean, I remember the first time I was really obsessed with a anise-focused fragrance or licorice-focused fragrance was Mugler's B-Men. Really wore so much of that, and you could really smell the anise licorice combo in that fragrance. Here you can totally do it as well, but there is a leafy tobacco presence, and also comes off very sticky. I mean, when you smell it, it's sticky and also powdery. So it's kind of a fusion of this dusty powder with a sticky resin or something, the experience. But, you know, you've got the tobacco, it's leafy, it's a bit musty. And then also you've got a lot of that spiciness of the licorice, the anise. And I do find a booziness with licorice. I don't know if you guys have ever had it. It's good for your tummy if you ever boil anise, not star anise, not licorice, but anise. It's good for you. I think licorice could be also good for your tummy as well, but kind of grew up as a little kid. My mom used to boil anise and feed it to us if we ever had stomach pain and things like that. But this is Havana Gold, created by Jordi Fernandez for Dries Van Noten. I think this is his very first fragrance for the brand. But honestly, this guy's doing a lot of fragrances. A lot. I think he's probably the next Quinton Biche. And also the fact that they're both working at the same firm. The same, perfume firm. I was going to say advertising agency because I used to work with advertising agencies, but this is more like a perfume agency. It's Givaudan, and there's Firmenich, there's International Flavors and Fragrances, IFF, there's Simrise, Man, and many others. CPL Aromas, where Julianne Rascanet works, Robertet, so many smaller ones as well. And so, yeah, Jordi Fernandez does work at Givaudan, and I think he's done a lot of great fragrances. My favorite, I think, still from him is the fragrance Tonka Hysteria by D'Orsay. If you guys have never smelled Tonka Hysteria, we still have a few of kit number 13 available, and that fragrance is featured in there. Okay, let's move on to the third fragrance from the Puig conglomerate. This is L'Ambre from Christian Louboutin. And by now, I'm hoping you guys caught a video I did highlighting the perfumer Delphine Lebeau. So for some strange reason, all around the same time, I discovered and fell in love with 3 fragrances created by this one perfumer. So Delphine Lebeau did L'Ambre for Christian Louboutin last year. It was launched in 2024. Then also, as part of the Zili fragrances, she's done one of the fragrances that I'm obsessed with, Cashmere Noir. But that one launched around 2020, I think. And there was another fragrance by Sabe Masson that I did a video on these 3 fragrances, maybe highlighted a few others that she's created as well. But I really, really fell in love with these 3 fragrances and really obsessed with L'Ambre from Christian Louboutin. I just don't like this bottle, though. Although I think it looks good if you put it on a countertop. But I don't really care for this. It does have that Christian Louboutin red material in it. But I don't know what it is about this fragrance. Major scent memories come. And I can't figure it out. For some reason, it reminds me of Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum from 2012. So the original. But more of a floral take on it. Because this is tuberose. And it's quite spicy and creamy tuberose. And ambery. And of course, Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum was ambery. And it had a lot of myrrh. Myrrh creates an amber resinous experience. This is ambery resinous. But there's a freshness and greenness about it. And also there was the greenness and freshness with Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum. But these are not identical. It reminds me of it. Something about it reminds me of it. But this is super sexy. It's super sexy. So delicious. There's a few that I haven't sampled from the house. I think the latest ones, one of them I think is created by Quinton Biche. But this is Delphine Lebeau. She works for IFF. Quinton Biche is with Givaudan. So I haven't sampled that. And I think there was another one that launched around the same time that launched. And then there's a new one, the Lavande. The leather had already launched. That I haven't sampled either. But of the ones that had launched along with L'Ambre, I've sampled, and I didn't really care for a lot of them. I really fell in love with this. It's super delicious. Super awesome smelling. I hope you guys get to try this. I've spoken about it a few times, and as I said, I've done a video about Delphine Lebeau's creation. It was just a weird coincidence that all of a sudden, 3 fragrances that I was really digging are created by her. And I knew her name had come up a few times. I never really knew her that well, but she works for IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances, and you know, that's where Dominique Ropion works. That's where Julien Rascanet used to work. Now he's at CPL Aromas. That's where Anne Filippo works. So they do have a few famous perfumers there. So next I'm going to open up 2 packages that I have not spoken about yet. If I can find them here. It's a bit of a mess on this table. I do have 1 or 2 fragrances by Julien Rascanet here. I can't remember. I'll let you know which ones they are once I get to them. But the next 2 fragrances are from Hugo Boss, part of their collection. These I did buy from Joma Shop. These also took a while to get, but not 2.5 months. So we've got a tester of Sensual Geranium. And then we've got a full presentation of Enigmatic Saffiano. So let's talk about Sensual Geranium first. That's the order I have the list in, and that's the order you'll see it in the video, and also the list in the video info box. So for me, I have 2 or 3 of these already. These 2 would make 5. My favorite is the musk. Absolutely addicted to the way that one smells. It's a musk that smells a little bit like Dior Homme Intense or Dior Homme Parfum with a lot of honey. So it's kind of like a fusion of bee and Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum. It's super sexy. And I first sampled the entire collection in Dubai when I was there in 2003 at their airport. I went through the whole collection quickly. The one that really stood out was the musk. Musk was amazing. In fact, now that I have 5 of these, I'll do a video on the 5 I have so you guys get an idea. But this collection never really came to the States. There are, you know, bottles ending up at the discounters, especially the Joma Shop website. But the musk I bought from Dubai at the duty free there. The rest of these I bought from Joma Shop because they end up there, and I buy them as soon as they come. Because this one was like $80 some, and I think this collection goes for maybe $200 something. And then I can't remember how much was the Enigmatic Saffiano in full presentation, but I believe maybe around 130. So they are heavily discounted. I do buy testers quite a bit, but also if you caught the Zili video, I was complaining that a lot of them came in, they didn't come in boxes, they were in, you know, bubble wrap, and the bottoms were chipped and cracked. So if you catch that video, I was complaining about that. But let's talk about Sensual Geranium first. Are you guys fans of geranium and fragrances? I do have a video on the channel on geranium. If you are into geranium, go catch that video. Geranium is used quite a bit in fougere fragrances. It's usually used a lot with or in conjunction with lavender. For me, lavender is the key ingredient in fougères. Lavender is always there, but they usually add it with geranium. A lot of times when you look up the notes breakdown for fougere fragrances, you'll see you'll see lavender and you'll also see geranium. But geranium on its own has a very distinct smell. To me, it's got a mintiness, for sure. For sure, it's minty. Like this one, it's super minty. But behind that mintiness, there's a rosiness. And so this does come off a bit medicinal, because minty kind of is medicinal to me. Sometimes, not all the time. Here, it's got a medicinal vibe, but there is this kind of beautiful rosiness behind all that medicinal mintiness. So a great fragrance for you guys to check out if you want to learn more about geranium is Rosenqueer from the house of Frederic Malle, where Jean-Claude Elena has taken the geranium and brought out its rosy qualities. And it's a fragrance with the name rose in the name of the fragrance, but the word rose, they're not using any rose, it's just geranium. So this is super minty, really, really minty. It's almost like candied mint a little bit. It's not going into the toothpaste direction, thankfully, but the geranium is acting a bit candied. But as I said, there is a bit of rose back there. It's there, but the mintiness is kind of like shielding the rose to come through too much. I actually like this one. So there was also a vetiver that there's a vetiver in the collection that I've spoken about, and I can't remember what the note breakdown was, but it was vetiver with a nutty note, I think. Pistachio. There was a pistachio note with the vetiver from this collection. I liked it, but I kind of like this a little more than the vetiver. But still a very masculine note, I think. This is definitely leaning masculine. Sensual geranium. So I guess we get the sensual qualities from the fact that it's a bit rosy. I like it. So yeah, if you guys want a video on the 5 fragrances from this collection that I have now. So we've got the geranium. We've got the Saffiano, which I'm assuming Saffiano is a saffron. I think it's saffron. I also got the musk. I have the oud and of course the vetiver. Let me know if you want me to do that video. But let's open up the Enigmatic Saffiano. I believe Saffiano is a synthetic ingredient. I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I've seen it come up a few times here and there, and I could have sworn it was saffron, but I could be wrong. I'll find out from smelling it here. This is actually turning out to be a bit difficult to peel off. But let me know if you guys are fans of this collection. Have you sampled it? I've never seen this collection at any stores. Nowhere. I'm gonna pause for a sec. So I went to grab the trash so I can throw all my plastic and trash. But this is full presentation of this series of fragrances. Hugo Boss's The Collection. This does say limited edition. And this is a parfum. Whereas this is an eau de parfum intense. But this one says limited edition parfum. So I'm assuming they're launching limited editions and they're not going to be around for a long time. I take it that the Sensual Geranium is part of the regular collection. I haven't kept up with this collection because it's not really readily available where I'm at. So it's not really easy to get my hands on these. Of course, I'm just taking a blind chance buying from discounters, heavily discounted. This one might need skin. It is leathery and ambery. Yeah, it's leather. Behind the leather, there's something soapy and patchouli-esque lavender. But also, as soon as you sprayed it, there was something smoky and a bit animalic about it. This is going to require skin for sure. Why am I getting licorice also? There's something molassesy, smoky, licoricey kind of dark in there. Let me know if you guys have experience with Enigmatic Saffiano. What are your thoughts? Do add a comment, please. Let's put the strip back in here so I can reuse it later. Yeah, let me know if you're a fan of this collection. Nobody talks about it. I mean, Hugo Boss has been making some great men's flankers of the bottled series. I'm looking forward to the new one that has ginger in it. We'll see. Can't remember who created it, but some of their recent flankers have been really great. But nobody talks about this collection because it's not widely distributed, sadly. All right, next going to the... Where is it? Here it is. So we've got a fragrance that I bought that I've been wanting to have. Is from the house of Clinique. It's Aromatics in black. Are you guys familiar with this collection? Now, are you familiar with the original Aromatics elixir? That is going back to the early 70s. Created by Bernard Chant, one of my all-time favorite perfumers. He also created a fragrance that had similar DNA to Aromatics elixir for Aramis called 900 a few years after. And if you compare those two fragrances, you get the similarities. Of course, the woman's was a bit more feminine leaning and the men's was a bit more masculine leaning, but they seem like they came from the same offspring, so similar formula. But I've been wanting to get aromatics in black. I have aromatics in white. Aromatics in black is kind of patchouli, I think. It's a dark. This also smells a bit chypre-like, and I believe aromatics elixir is a chypre. This is quite soapy, not super strong. Did I say this is kind of soapy? It's got a soapiness about it. It's not acting so dark, so I'm assuming this is going to get darker on skin. Who's a fan of this? Who's a fan of Clinique's fragrances? Clinique is under Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder and Clinique, well, Estée Lauder mostly. Estée Lauder Aramis used quite a bit of Bernard Chant, one of my favorite perfumers from the olden days. He's done a lot of great fragrances, classic fragrances. You've got to be into classic fragrances to appreciate them. But let's move on to the house of Yves Rocher. These I brought back from shopping at Yves Rocher in the south of France in Nice. And it's 3 fragrances in a series, and they were on sale, like 30% off or something. So we've got, it's Yves Rocher Essences Botaniques Calm Absolu. And we've got Ondes Positives. And then we have Tendresse Instance. I know, I'm butchering the French. So obviously, when you look at the packaging here, it's got lavender, right? So this is a lavender-focused fragrance. So I was there for the purposes of lavender. If you haven't caught my video of my time in the south of France with Nisaba, go catch those videos. I actually have a video with a woman that works for a company that deals with lavender harvesters and farmers. So we go through all the different varieties of lavender. If you're keen on learning about lavender and also other herbs like clary sage, immortelle, hyssop, and things like that, go catch that video. But I think these fragrances from Yves Rocher are supposed to kind of like help with it brings on positivity and things like that, boost energy and give you, I don't know, uplifting things and things like that. So it's meant to calm you, and because this one's called Calm Absolu, so I'm assuming it's dealing with something to, because lavender, of course, is an ingredient that, you know, relaxes and soothes. So a lot of, you know, the lavender oil does that. So I think that's the purposes of these fragrances. But this doesn't smell like the true lavender oil. I brought back some lavender oil from the south of France when I was there. And this isn't smelling like that. This has other things in it. But I believe the way they did the fragrances, it's giving you a calming feeling and things like that. At least this one is. Sadly, I can't read French. Perfumes for your well-being, that's what it says. It says, this eau de parfum with lavender essential oil, known for its relaxing properties, infuses calm and tranquility to provide you with a moment of serenity. Lovely. Personally, I don't think you need the perfumes. You can actually get the oils themselves. But the perfumes are kind of fun, I think. The next one is Ondes Positives, and I know I'm butchering that, but this one has lemons on it. So there was a time I was talking a lot about Yves Rocher. Yves Rocher, to me, is the French Body Shop. The problem with Yves Rocher, you fall in love with the fragrance and it's gone the next day. They discontinue quite a bit, so they're always constantly launching new. So it's kind of like Zara to me, although I feel like their fragrances do last a little longer than Zara's. But I've fallen in love with fragrances and they've been discontinued in the past. This is a very citrusy kind of sweet, not super tart. So this says, this eau de parfum with lemon essential oil, known for its invigorating properties, infuses vitality and positive emotions to exude happiness. I could see that. I mean, I've always mentioned in my videos, in the wintertime, if you don't wear citruses in the wintertime, you wear stronger fragrances. You can always pull out your citruses to give you that kind of uplifting wake-up quality that citruses do. They're very bright and happy, you know, sunshine and kind of gorgeous type of fragrances like that, especially when it's dark and gloomy outside. But that's what that is. And I'm not going to say it again. It's, you can read it right there. But this is from Yves Rocher. Yves Rocher, I don't think they have physical stores in the USA. I believe you can buy online. In fact, just before I'm shooting this video, I received a 50% off promotion. I'm shooting this just before Labor Day weekend. I don't know when this video will go live, but this is just before Labor Day weekend. So there was a promotion, and they do have promotions. Like, you have fragrances at Yves Rocher that are 100, and when they do the 50% off, they're down to 50. So you're taking 50% off. So if these are $50, they're down to 25, and I can't remember exactly the price on these here in the States, but that's the kind of thing that's happening with these. So this is the third one. I think it's called Tendresse Instant. I'm butchering the French. This was my least favorite of the bunch. Honestly, also, these smelled better in the south of France when it was humid outside. This is a floral for sure. Perfumes for your this is a citrus floral. Perfumes for your well-being. This eau de parfum with neroli essential oil, known for its reassuring properties, infuses softness and comfort to envelop you in a cocoon of tenderness. So in the back right there. Thankfully, they do have a little English on these. And I'm assuming they have packaging that maybe it's all in English. Who knows? I don't remember exactly. I have only ordered once from the Yves Rocher USA website. I usually just bring back from visiting France. Okay, that's all done. Next, we've got a fragrance from the house of Salvatore Ferragamo. I've been wanting to get one of these fragrances, and I'm not the biggest fan of this house. This is Tuscan Creations Art Orafa. This is the Julien Rasconet creation. I've heard great things about this. In fact, I remember when he posted about this. I ordered it from online. I can't remember the name of the perfume shop. Not at FragranceNet, because I found it at another perfume shop for, I think this was around $100 at FragranceNet, but at the perfume shop it was like $69 from what I remember. This is it right here. Wow, kind of has moisture there a little bit. So that is Art Orafa from the Tuscan Creations. And if you guys don't know Salvatore Ferragamo, if you visit Florence, you got to go to his museum. Of course, he's known for shoes. Let's see how this smells. This is giving me a little bit of the moon vibes. Different though. Not as fruity. Smoky and resinous too. It's gorgeous. Oudi for sure. But I'm getting, so it's sprayed with the fruits. And that's when I first thought it was moon-like. Then it changes on you. And I think the DNA might be similar to the moon, but it goes in different directions. Like they bring out less fruits, and they bring out other ingredients besides the fruits, kind of a thing. But I'm glad to have a fragrance from this collection. This is Art Orafa from Salvatore Ferragamo. I can't remember who distributes this brand. There was a Salvatore Ferragamo that I used to wear. It was the fig fragrance. I forgot the name. And one time, my very first visit to Florence, I stayed at one of the Salvatore Ferragamo hotels. It was a winter. They had the most amazing products in that freaking hotel, and it was some Salvatore Ferragamo fragrance. So, good stuff. But I've been kind of shy of the brand, and I'm glad to have that, and we'll figure out a way to put it to use. Okay, this next fragrance I also bought from Nice. I was in Nice, in the south of France, and I went to the Molinard boutique. So if you don't end up in Grasse, which I was in Grasse but didn't have time to go shopping, there are the stores that are based out of Grasse. So it's Fragonard, Molinard, and Gallimard. They have stores in, I think most of them have stores in Nice. I'm not sure about Gallimard, but I believe Fragonard and Molinard does. So I walked into this store, and I knew I wanted to get something or just check to see what they have, because I've been to that store many times. I've been to Nice several times. And there was a woman chatting with the associate, and she had her back to me, and I could tell she was American, so because she was speaking with an American accent. Well, they were speaking English, obviously. And then all of a sudden, the woman turned around and said my name, the woman that was American. And I was like, whoa, I got recognized again. So it turns out she's from the region, and she's been to, or we've met before. I couldn't remember exactly, but it's kind of a funny story. So it took me a long time to get out of the store because I had some friends waiting. But I did buy one fragrance because I fell in love with it. See, I honestly, though, it was so hot and humid. Certain fragrances were smelling so great. Like, I think what really stood out for me with this Yves Rocher fragrances was the lemon. So good. So good in the humidity. And then this fragrance really smelled so good. This is Citrus Noir from the House of Molinard. But honestly, I could have waited to come back here. It's about $50, so it's not that expensive. I could have just bought it here. But I like to, buy things because now I remember exactly what happened when I bought this. I didn't get a discount, obviously, so I paid full retail. Fragrances are cheaper there when you're buying full retail compared to here. But of course, here they go on sale or at the discounters, and they get cheaper than what you would pay for the fragrances there, if that makes sense. But this Citrus Noir was a dark take on citruses. And of course, in the humidity, citruses smell so good. They just kind of come alive. They're like you're blending in with all the citruses and the fruits and things like that. This is that kind of a fragrance. So it's a bit green. There's a darkness about it. And underneath it, there's a darkness. But up top, it's kind of like tart, juicy, zingy citruses mixed in with some darkness and some aromatics and spices. And I think it's all this combination that's making it give it a bit of a dark effect. But super awesome. I haven't bought a Molinard for a while. I had the usual suspects like Lavande, to me, reminded me of Lavender Extreme from Tom Ford, a great alternative for Lavender Extreme. The Vanilla I've worn quite a bit. The Patchouli Intense, when they had in their older bottles, I bought from Grasse, actually. If you ever make it to Grasse, go to Molinard. They have a little museum there. There's a big store there inside their museum. And I bought their first time I bought patchouli from them was like in 2013. And it was this kind of like a chocolate colored bottle. And it was not the regular patchouli. It was the more intense patchouli. I love that thing. I wore it so much. This was like just around the time I was, doing one video here, and a month later I would do another video on the first channel. But I'm a fan of the house. Actually, between the three houses, Fragonard, Molinard, Gallimard, I think my favorite is Molinard. Anyway, this is Citrus Noir. Let me know if you guys have tried it. If you're looking for a new citrus, a bit darker take on it, a spicy take on it, check that out. It's called Citrus Noir from Molinard. So we're going to do some feminine fragrances now. This is a fragrance I've been wanting to add to my collection for the longest time. I have a big collection of classic fragrances. This is from the house of Emanuele Ungaro. This is Diva. Who's a fan of this one? Are you a fan? This is supposed to be one of the true 80s masterpieces. I don't know what condition it is in now with reformulations, but this is Diva. Gorgeous bottle. I can't believe how great the glass is. I wonder who designed this bottle. I don't think it's Pierre Denon. I'm not really familiar with the designer of this bottle. He's never mentioned it. If you guys don't know who Pierre Denon is, he is one of the world's most famous bottle designers, and I've got a video with him on the channel. plus the discussion of the book that is about him. But Diva, let's see. If you're familiar with the fragrance, let me know. I don't remember it. It's been a long time since I've smelled it. I'm going to smell it right now. Well, it is pretty thin. I can't remember who Emmanuel Ungaro brand is under or what conglomerate. Is it Inter Parfums? Does anybody know? So going back to this is a very true 80s style of fragrance, but it's just been watered down. There's spices, there's flowers. It's quite spicy, honestly. But I'm getting, I don't know why it's reminding me of, what's the famous perfume from Beverly Hills? I don't know why it's reminding me of that, but I don't have a lot to say about it. It's quite soapy. I think there's some patchouli in here. There might be some animalics, I believe. From what I remember, there's civet. I could be wrong about the civet, though. But it's so super thin. Gonna have to put it to use and see what it's all about on skin. Let's try some on. On this side. Okay, a little better on skin. I feel like patchouli is kind of amplified a bit further. Or something like patchouli. There might be oak moss in here. Although, I mean, it was like, what, $50 for this? Yeah, the reformulation is not that good, but it's decent. It's not that good. I'll come back to that. I do plan on doing a video on feminine classic fragrances. If I can get my, video put together, I'll shoot it, but it might not be until after I come back from my 2-month trip. Let's move on to another Emmanuel Ungaro fragrance. This is Diva Rouge. So this is a flanker of Diva. It's a more modern flanker. And of course, the brand's decided to capitalize on the whole Diva collection, and they've created a new flanker. Yep, I was right. It is Inter Parfums. As you can see back there, they are distributed by Inter Parfums right there. Okay, let's see what the Diva Rouge is all about. Okay. What is it about these dangly things on bottles? You've got the name right there. So most likely this has nothing to do... Oh, this thing comes off. Most likely this has nothing to do with the OG Diva. This is Diva for modern women. Whoa, it's fruity. Rosy. Very girly or feminine. I actually think the original is not as feminine as this one is. This is super fun and it's got a girly vibe. I mean, when you saw the advertising campaign for this, you can tell that they're targeting younger women. I think it's pretty. What do you think? We'll come back to it. But yeah, the brand's distributed by Inter Parfums. Which one of the brands that I'm familiar with that is under Inter Parfums is Van Cleef & Arpels. So the third fragrance from Emmanuel Ungaro, which I opened, and unfortunately it's not in good condition, sadly. It's called Cosmic. This is a Jerome Epinay creation. I don't know who created the others. Most likely the first one, the original Diva, is a more famous perfumer. Maybe the Diva Rouge is somebody famous as well. I can't remember though. But this one I believe is created by Jerome Epinay. But look at the bottle. That's how it was delivered. It's gross. Really, really gross. But I mostly bought this for the bottle because I'm a bottle guy. I like bottles. The material is very plasticky, cheap, and that's why probably when I opened this, it's how it was. And it looks like it's also like that down there. So sadly, there's leakage issues with this. This is a super fruity offering. They're not like the most awesome offerings, honestly. And I know what's his name's work. He does good work for Byredo. Jerome Epinay is a great perfumer, but I have to wear this, I think. It's giving me peachy vibes, some kind of that kind of a fruit. But it's also quite powdery. There might be some flowers in there for sure. I'm bummed the bottle is kind of in a gross condition. I kind of don't like showing that bottle. It looks weird. But anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, now we've got a fragrance, another fragrance purchased from Joma Shop from Thomas Kosmala. This is Oud Douze. It's kind of ripped, but it's a tester. They have quite a bit of testers there. I like the testers. The only one that I have not been satisfied with is the Zili testers. But look at the label on this fragrance. It's totally different than others. Oud Douze. I smelled this one, and it's not that good. I think some of the other fragrances that I have from the brand are better. But in the end, it's got the DNA that you're familiar with. The number 4, Après l'Amour, or the number 10, Désir de Coeur. Those two have that same DNA with this, but this has a bit of an oudi touch. When I first smelled it, I didn't like it as much. Now I'm fine with it. It's not a wow. I think some of the other fragrances are better, but maybe it'll grow on me further. But who's a fan of Thomas Kosmala? This is Oud Douze, and it's number 12, it says. If you look at the label from the side, there are like ingredients posted or something. I don't know if you could see that or not. Because there's the word musk. There's oud, vanilla. Anyway. Let me know if you're a fan of Thomas Kosmala. Add a comment below. Let's move on to the next fragrance. We are done with page 1. Okay, who's a fan of Cacharel? And I recently did a video on nutmeg fragrances. Many of you mentioned Cacharel Pour Homme. I don't know why, but that fragrance never comes up when I'm looking for fragrances, and I've been wanting to buy a bottle of it. I have a few Cacharel. I have Lulu, of course. That's one of the most famous ones, but I decided to buy a bottle of Eden. This is Eden. I'm actually going to pause the video and then show you something that's kind of weirdly surprising. So, I don't know if you guys know the brand Adamo. I don't know what it is about this Eden, but they have a fragrance called Eden as well. They kind of like feel like they're one from another. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about Eden from Cacharel. Who remembers Cacharel? I think Cacharel, I don't know much about Cacharel. I think it's a designer, right? So this is Cacharel's Eden, and I'm a sucker for bottles. These are also very cheap. The Lulu is cheap, like $25, $30. This was like $25, $30. I don't know anything about this fragrance. This is the first time I'm smelling it. I mean, I might have smelled it in passing somewhere along the way. Ooh. White flowers once again. So Lulu is also very white floral heavy. So this says, patchouli notes of mimosa and cool fruits. Eden, for the first time ever, encompasses the exhilaration of spring with sensuality. That one's going to take some time. I don't think the reformulation is that good. It's kind of weird, actually. I think when I got Lulu by Cacharel, it was also a bit off to me. The reformulation was not that good, but I've grown to enjoy that one. So this one I brought back from Europe. This is Armani's Code Elixir. Are you guys fans? I've never been a big fan of the Armani Code series, but I kind of like this one. Well, sometimes things just run away from me. So, it's certainly powdery, but why am I getting a bit of a smokiness in this? So, the new Dior Homme Parfum does remind me a little bit of this DNA, and I don't know why. Why did he do that? Why? Dior Homme Parfum was the ultimate in luxurious men's designer signature line fragrances. Now it's stooped to the level of this fragrance, because this is not that good. It's good, but I mean, it's not the king anymore. It was the king because it was so freaking luxurious. This, it's decent, but not wow. I'll have to wear it and let you guys know a little bit more. What do you guys think? Armani Code Elixir. Sometimes when you're traveling, you find deals. Like I go to a lot of perfume shops. I kind of hunt them down with my maps on my iPhone. And I stop in, and it could be a mom and pop store, and they have a promotion, like a weekly promotion or something. So I pick up things at discount. So it's 100 years of Shalimar, Guerlain's Shalimar. So you guys are aware that they are launching the new Essence. In fact, by the time this video airs, probably it's already launched. But I've always had a bottle of the Eau de Toilette in Shalimar. And of course, I have three or four of the Millésimes. Now they have the Essence. But I've never really owned Eau de Parfum or the Soufflé de Parfum. So we've got two. And when I pick up the Essence, I will do a video on the entire lot of Shalimar fragrances. Of course, it's going to have to be after I get back from my 2 trips. But are you a fan of Shalimar? What do you guys think about the Essence? Have you gotten your nose on it yet? By the time I'm shooting this video, I have not smelled it yet, so I can't wait. Does it smell like the Vanille? Millésime Vanilla or Vanille, which I never got my nose on, was launched in 21. All right, let's try the EDP first. That's Shalimar and EDP. Looks just like the Eau de Toilette or the EDT. Smells good in here, by the way. Still can't get it out of my mind, that weirdness of the Cacharel Eden. So what I'm noticing right off the bat, it does smell thicker. Mostly, it reminds me of the original for sure. But it's a bit more ambery. And there's a bit more depth here. Reminds me of the original, like I said. It doesn't remind me of like the Tonka. The Millésime Tonka is amazing. The Iris and the Jasmine are great as well. But the Tonka, I think, is even far superior. I love the Tonka. I wish I had an extra bottle. This is good, but this is more old school smelling. Let's try the Soufflé de Parfum. I know nothing about the Soufflé de Parfum. I have not kept up with Guerlain's Shalimar that much. I wonder why that doesn't have a ribbon. So I don't know what to expect with Soufflé de Parfum. It's fresher. What I'm getting is freshness, and not very similar to what I just smelled with the Eau de Parfum. I guess way behind it, it seems similar, but there's something a bit more like mass market DNA in this that you find in a lot of modern fragrances. Is there a bit of patchouli also? I'm getting a little bit of patchouli maybe. But I'm bummed there's no ribbon. Does it not come with a ribbon? No ribbon. This is also an Eau de Parfum concentration. I'm not a big fan of this one, sadly. It smells a bit cheap. Not that cheap, but it's a bit cheap. Not that this next fragrance doesn't smell cheap, but this is also a cheapie that I actually highlighted that I recently bought from one of the discount stores like Marshall's or TJ Maxx. This is Azzaro Sport. So L'Oreal doesn't have, or does it? You know how I saw Interparfums on the Ungaro? I don't know if this is under L'Oreal or if this is under doesn't really say. Luxury Products Inc. New York. Yeah, it doesn't say if it's L'Oreal. Because it used to be under Clinique. Clinique owned Mugler and Azzaro and got rid of it. So this is a very mass market, kind of aromatic, freshy. There's a bit of a metallic touch about it. But I think it's a nice, pleasant, cheap, very mass market, designer, sporty fragrance that you can wear at a gym or playing sports, I guess. It's pleasant. It was like, what, $14 for 100 ml? So it's one that you would throw in your gym bag and spritz and replenish throughout the day. So, Azzaro Sport. Here's the thing I'm going to talk to you guys about. So, remember I did a video on Aramis's intuition for men? In that video, I mentioned that I read on Fragrantica that Aramis by Aramis was going to be discontinued. Never. I don't want to say never trust Fragrantica, but I got contacted by Aramis and they told me it's not being discontinued. And I don't like sharing false information, but I thought the info on Fragrantica was correct and I shared it with you guys. So before that, I had bought, remember I mentioned I'm going to buy a large bottle. I bought a large bottle of Aramis by Aramis. But it's not discontinued anymore, which is a good thing. But also, I have to say, Intuition was a dud. It is created by Carlos Bonayem. But I'm going to stop blaming perfumers for making not very good fragrances. It's in the end, it's the brands that are approving it. So I can't blame Carlos Bonayem because he's like a very well-known, great perfumer. He's made Polo Green and many other fragrances that are great quality. But I think they were trying to recreate, what something similar to Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel. I think it's in that ballpark of style of fragrances, Intuition that is. It's a modern fougere, which to me, it's a complete disappointment. But what does the original Aramis smell like? I'm not going to open this. This is going to be stored away. It's one of the larger bottles, by the way. It's a 240 ml. Okay, let's smell this. Aramis by Aramis is created by Bernard Chant, which I've already mentioned earlier. So it's a cheaper style, leathery, spicy, woody, very masculine. As soon as I smell it, it reminds me of my dad. But it's quite good. It's thin though. It's really, really thin. I'm relieved that it's not being discontinued because Aramis reached out to me on Instagram and said it's not being discontinued. But also, it's so thin. It's kind of, yes, it's the actual fragrance, but in a different way. The original was so much more substantial and more potent. I mean, we'll take what we have, but do you think it should have been discontinued because it's gotten so reformulated? I mean, this launched in the early 60s or the late 50s. I love that fragrance. And again, it reminds me of my dad, as I said. Okay, so this fragrance I found as a great price from Marshall's, $16.99. So this is a fragrance called Velvet Rouge by Jason Wu. So I actually reviewed the very first Jason Wu fragrance. In fact, I don't think he has that many. He's got maybe 2 or 3. This is something I couldn't smell it because obviously it's not open and they don't have testers at places like Marshall's or TJ Maxx. But the $16.99 price was really great. Plus, this is so heavy. So it comes in a really heavy bottle, I think. But I looked up online to see what it was all about because I didn't know anything about it. I did read some places that there were some reminders of something like Portrait of a Lady. So I thought, okay, let's try it. So this is Jason Wu's Velvet Rouge. Who's a fan of this? Have you guys worn the original? I think the original, from what I remember, had fig. I don't have the bottle anymore. Well, I have the empty bottle. I don't have the fragrance in it. No, it's not Portrait of a Lady. This is a lot fresher. Whoa, it's fruity? Maybe it has fig. Maybe the fig has carried over from the previous fragrance to this. There's certainly a fruity freshness here, but beneath it all, I feel like there's some depth. There's some spiciness. Maybe there is some rose. It's percolating under there. But why is it so fresh? I thought this would be a lot deeper. Maybe whatever I read was wrong. Can't trust reviews much. But the thing is, people smell different things. It's acting very fresh. I think my nose is going to the fruits or whatever freshness that is. And it's focused on the fruits. But I feel like there is some depth under there. I'm not sure it's going towards the Portrait of a Lady side. But there is something spicy kind of developing under there. So that is Velvet Rouge by Jason Wu. Let me know if you guys are familiar with that. Not sure who created it, like what perfumer, all that good stuff. Oh. Okay, underlying something woody, spicy like Portrait of a Lady, but not quite. Okay. Is there sandalwood here? It's quite sandalwoody, I think. It's developing to smell a bit more like Portrait of a Lady. But I wouldn't say this is identical. There's a reminder. Okay. Slip that in. Okay, next up. This is a men's fragrance called Animale Seduction. So, always been a fan of Animale. I really love the fragrance. To me, it was like... I have a video on the channel with a man, his name is Jeffrey Dame, who has a brand. We shot a video together about the launch of Animale. He worked on it, so he's got a lot of details about that fragrance. What I liked about it is it reminds me of a fragrance that Mugler would have launched, perhaps. So even though maybe Animale was inspired by the Mugler fragrances, I don't know what the deal was. Mugler Angel was 92, Mugler Men or Angel Men was 96. Animale was 94, so it came in the middle. But to me, Animale reminds me a little bit of Pure Malt. Look at this. So this is Animale. Really cool looking bottle. That did focus this time. So I read that this brand is from Indonesia. I didn't know that. I was at an event recently, and there were a couple from Indonesia, and we were talking about perfume, and we're talking about Indonesian brands. And I looked up Indonesian brands, and this brand's from Indonesia. I wasn't aware of that. Anyway, let's spray this. I don't know what to expect. I've never smelled this. Ooh, that is some metallic. That's not very good. I don't like this at all. I mean, I think there might be a place and a time for this. It's quite metallic. So I feel like there's a lot of like aromatics mixed with citruses to give you that kind of a sharp metallic coldness. I think the best thing about this is the bottle. It's a cool looking bottle. I don't know why, but it's reminding me a little bit of Elizabeth Taylor's Passion bottle in purple, which I wore in the late 80s. I need to get a bottle of that. I don't know how it smells these days. If you got an idea, if it smells good, latest formulations, do let me know. Add a comment below, because I did wear the Elizabeth Taylor Passion. So next, this is also from a discount store. I think it was TJ Maxx. It was 10 bucks. This is from Finery. It's Sun-Phoria. I actually smelled this one and I really liked it. That's why I bought it. And of course, these are also pretty cheap to begin with. And a lot of people say it reminds them of Soleil Blanc from Tom Ford. I don't think so. To me, this is taking Soleil Blanc and marrying it with Love Don't Be Shy. The sad thing is this is discontinued. 10 bucks. I think this is more gourmand than Soleil Blanc. And as I said, it reminds me of Soleil Blanc that's been married with Love Don't Be Shy, because the orange blossom is so strong here. There's also a bit of a marshmallowy effect under there. So I feel like you've got kind of something beachy, but also orange blossomy, marshmallow, caramel, vanilla thing happening as well. I think it's super delicious. Really, really yummy. Sun-Phoria. Let me know if you're familiar with it. My favorite from this brand, though, is I'm a Musk. Super clean skin scent. Really, really awesome stuff. All right, next, Viktor & Rolf's Spice Bomb Metallic Musk, which I brought back from France. I had a hard time finding this fragrance in France. Finally, I found it at Nocibe store in Paris. I hate these things. They set off the alarm. And I was like wondering why I can't find it. I had a hard time finding it because I was at Marionnaud and they didn't have it there. And it's under L'Oreal, so L'Oreal is French, right? I like this one, actually. It's not a wow fragrance, but I kind of like this flanker. I'm not a big fan of the flankers outside of the original EDT and the Extreme or Intense, but this one I kind of like. It's kind of like taking the original, the warm spices, but there's something kind of metallic, cold, ice cold. So it's kind of like fusing coldness and warmth together, and it creates a clash, but also it creates a really great experience because it's fresh and invigorating, and then also warm and spicy to create a really great fusion. It smells great. I don't care for the infrared, I believe, is one of them. And then there's the green bottle. I don't care for that. And the dark leather. Is it dark leather? Do I have that one? Yeah, I do have that one. I think my flankers are over there. I like that one too, but I like this one more. I just like the freshness because it's mostly a warm, spicy fragrance, and it's given the fresh treatment, but keeping the warmth there while it's being fresh, if that makes sense. It's pleasant. It's almost like you can wear a fresh fragrance that's warm and spicy at the same time. Lovely. It's a good flanker, I think. So that's Metallic Musk. Spice Bomb Metallic Musk by Viktor and Rolf. Next, I have spoken about this one. This is Blue Talisman by Ex Nihilo. Finally had to get it because I kept smelling it. I kept coming back to it, even though at first I thought it was, why is everybody raving about this? It's a good freshie. Once again, another Jordi Fernandez fragrance. So it's Givaudan. It's Ex Nihilo always uses Givaudan perfumers. I think they have an agreement with them. They only use Givaudan perfumers to create their fragrance. But this is so super sexy. I just wish it lasted a little longer. I like the pear in here. I like the ginger. And I think you've seen them show up in those videos, those deep dive videos. If you haven't caught those videos, please do. There's pear here. There's ginger here. There's also that signature ingredient, Akigala wood. So, I don't know, I should say, I know people have problems with Ambroxan because it can be really screechy and strong and overwhelming and overpowering. Akigala wood, on the other hand, should not be the same. Because from what I've read, Akigala wood is basically a stripped away patchouli. And patchouli maybe is a polarizing note. And so they've toned it down, basically, stripped away of its rawness and given to us in the more pure form. So I think maybe that's what I like about Akigala wood. I know Quinton Biche uses it quite a bit. It's here. It's a great base. It smells great. I do enjoy it, but I personally don't think Akigala wood should cause as much of a hatred towards the usage of it as much as Ambroxan. Because for me, I can see it with Ambroxan. It can be very overwhelming and like super strong and headache inducing, even though I like it. I don't get that same experience with Akigala wood that I do with Ambroxan. And even though I love Ambroxan, as I said. The next fragrance is DS and Durga's Crush Balls. Tennis balls, right? So if you guys are not aware, Imaginary Authors has a fragrance called A Soft Lawn. That is also a tennis-inspired fragrance. But I kind of like this one a little more. I had a friend that wore so much of A Soft Lawn. It started like, every time I connect, it's like, there it is again. I like that fragrance. It's not a love. This one actually is love. It's a really fresh and clean and green take on the idea of tennis balls, I guess. It's quite lovely. It's really, really great. If you haven't tried it, do. You gotta like green fragrances. Obviously, you've got green all over it. You do have the experience of a tennis court. I wonder if they launched this when that movie about tennis came out last year with Zendaya. Could have been a great collaboration. But I love this. It's really, really awesome. This one's easier to wear. There's something in A Soft Lawn that rubs me the wrong way a little bit. And even though I've worn quite a bit of it myself, I find this one to be easier, not as challenging. And I don't want to use the word a bit more mass, but it might be a bit more mass. Because the Soft Lawn seems like there's some ingredients in there that creates a bit of a more edgy fragrance experience rather than this being so easy to wear. It's a bit more mass appealing. Okay, next, this is the fragrance I bought at the Paris airport. I bought two fragrances I'm going to talk about back-to-back that I bought from the Paris airport. This is Bergamote Fantastico is what I should say, not Bergamoto. It is in French. Guerlain's Bergamote Fantastico Extrait 11. It's kind of a salty bergamot. it also gives me tea vibes, or grassy vibes. When I smell tea, it gives me grassy vibes, and mostly because it's like the texture of the tea itself. And I get that here mixed in with a lot of like thick bergamot. So there's the reminder of tea in here. And obviously they use bergamot in Earl Grey tea, one of my favorites. So I don't know if that's subconscious, but giving me tea vibes, it gives me tea vibes. But it's super juicy, zesty, a bit floral, very clean and ice cold, but also long lasting. But I wouldn't say this is the longest lasting of the bunch, but it's certainly really, really yummy. And this is actually $600+ It was when it first launched here in the States. It was in the 400 range at the airport without any tax. So it's a good deal to buy fragrances when you're traveling. Give you a little pointer. Recently I was coming back from Europe, and in front of me there were 3 women. All 3 of them had big orange Louis Vuitton bags. So what happens with Louis Vuitton bags is you get put to the side and they'll investigate to ask you how much did you spend. This is what I heard afterwards. I don't usually shop at Louis Vuitton, so I don't have a worry about that. But if you're buying Louis Vuitton at the airport, put your damn bag away. Otherwise, you'll be stopped. Anyway, the next fragrance, well, I should have put this in order, but this is not in order. This is a tester I bought online. It's a Jardin Exclusif from Mancera. The next one after this is going to be the one I bought with Bergamote Fantastico. So Jardin Exclusif is a kind of a pulpy, juicy citrus with an overdose of amber woods in the base. The overdose of the amber woods in the base is strong, really, really strong, giving it a bit of a Middle Eastern vibe and kind of taking over from the experience of the citruses and the flowers that are here present in this fragrance. But I think the reason they add these kind of amber woods kind of notes in the fragrance to extend the life of the fragrance. It's super potent, but it's getting flowery, it's getting juicy, citrusy, and it's also quite pulpy. Who's a fan of Jardin Exclusif from Mancera? Add a comment below. And this is the other fragrance that I bought with Bergamote Fantastico. I was actually going to buy Baciami from the house of Bulgari. And the guy that was at the airport in Paris, the Paris Charles de Gaulle, I was basically, what was I doing? I was taking the Paris to Nice flight. He recognized me. And then I said, I changed my mind on the Baciami. I do want a bottle of Baciami eventually from Acqua di Parma. I'm from Bulgari, but I ended up with Colonia Il Profumo from Acqua di Parma. By the way, I actually just posted about this. I actually just got to sample the new jasmine fragrance from Acqua di Parma, and I just sampled it at Neiman Marcus. It smelled so good. I've never reacted to a jasmine fragrance like that before. It's a really, really awesome jasmine. It's slightly indolic, so it's got a bit of a funk, but it's super sexy. Price was over $400 for 100 ml. What the? So, yeah, I mean, I was traveling within France with these, so I don't have to worry about that. But obviously, as I said, if you're coming back from France or anywhere and there's a duty-free Louis Vuitton, put your bag away or something. Get a different bag or something. Because that is an instant. What I heard afterwards from the ladies, because they came out while I was waiting for my suitcases, they said they stop anybody with a Louis Vuitton bag. But what I like about this one is a thickened up take on the OG Acqua di Parma Colonia. It's quite fresh, really juicy and pulpy, thick and dense. So I think that's what Acqua di Parma is doing now. They're kind of intensifying the the fresh fragrances, because the original is a eau de cologne fragrance. So this is an eau de parfum, so it's a lot stronger. The other one I wanted is Buongiorno, But it did remind me a little bit of Torino 21 from Xerjoff. So I haven't bought it yet. But who knows? If I go back in the next couple of weeks, I might. But really did fall in love with the jasmine from this house. But either way, that's Acqua di Parma's Colonia Il Profumo. And we've got 3 fragrances left that I brought back from France as well. First, I'm going to talk to you guys about MDCI's Invasion Barbar. I know many of you had wanted me to talk about this. And I've been a big fan of Chypre Palatin from this house. It's definitely my favorite still. But I didn't know this was so good. So good. It's created by Stéphanie Bacouche. And this is the fragrance right here. Well, let me show you that. Invasion Barbar. And we've got MDCI. So I realized something after. This is created by Stéphanie Bacouche. She's also created a fragrance for the house of Masque Milano. It's called Slate of Fern. And Slate of Fern has an overdose of thyme. This one also has thyme. And I was smelling it, and it was reminding me of Slate of Fern. At that time, I didn't know who had created. I originally thought this was a Bertrand Duchaufour, but Stéphanie Bacouche, I believe, either works with Bertrand Duchaufour or has trained under him. So when I was smelling it, I was reminded of Slate of Fern, but not as strong with the thyme. And then, oh, I just got a little fly flying around. Sorry about that. But then I looked it up, and it's her. She's created both. And yeah. This is actually much better than the Slate of Fern, but it's not as strong with the thyme. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because there's a fruit fly flying around. But it's good. It's a really great fougere. It's a barbershop. It's Invasion Barbar. This is my only second fragrance from this house. Still prefer Chypre Palatin, but this one's also really good. And I do enjoy this one more than Slate of Fern because, as I said, Slate of Fern has the thyme amplified. It smells so savory with that one. I mean, it's so strong. And here it's edited and super awesome. A different kind of, it's more like a Provençal barbershop. You've got a barbershop, you're dealing with all the shaving soap and everything, and it's right next to a herb store or putting together all their herbs of Provence, mixing all the different herbs together kind of a thing. The only thing I'm just smelling for the first time here that I didn't smell when I actually featured this in a recent video, why am I getting licorice? There's a slight licoricey phenolic or phenol-y kind of smell in here that I didn't get before. But either way, this is Invasion Barbar. Well, this fly is flying around. I'm going to stop the video. Sorry, I'm actually in a courtyard. There's a courtyard. I'm in a building that has a courtyard. And I don't think the building does much with that courtyard. It's not public access. And I think because of that, we get fruit flies coming in. I have all the windows closed. It's flying around still, and I couldn't kill it. All right, I haven't been able to kill that sucker, but let's move on because we're almost done with the video. So I've spoken about this a few times also. Maybe I haven't aired the video that I spoke on it a second time. This is from the house of Serge Lutens L'Orpheline. So I actually knew about this fragrance and had tried it before, but while I was in Paris, I was at a perfume shop and they had the brand. Here it is again. All right, let's move on. I couldn't kill the fly, but we've got a few fragrances left and I want to finish the video here. But the next fragrance I spoke about in a few videos already, but I think one of the videos hasn't aired yet, or maybe it will air after this or before this. Who knows? But we're talking about Serge Lutens. This is L'Orpheline. So I knew about this fragrance, had sampled it, and didn't react to it until I was shopping for perfume in the city of Paris at a perfume shop. And I reacted to this so insanely. I was like, wow, I've never smelled this like this before. It's quite good. So L'Orpheline is supposed to be a fougere again, but there's a lot of musk in it. So it's a musky fougere. And to me, it smells so phenomenal, but it's not as loud as a lot of other fragrances. It seems to be a bit more personal as well, but there's a lot of lavender. There's a lot of musk. So it does act a bit patchouli-like. I mean, sorry, musk. it does act a little bit fougere-like, but I do get a bit of a patchouli-esque touches in here as well, in addition to the overdose of musks. It's so, so good, but you've got to wear this to experience it more like how the fragrance wears, because on skin it really, really comes alive. But you do have a lot of lavender, and it's the lavender that's kind of dry lavender, not the fresh lavender. So there's a little bit of a dry leafiness in this with the lavender, but lots of musk and whatever kind of patchouli like earthy note that's in there in the base. Super, super awesome. A really, really awesome fragrance. And again, this is a really awesome fragrance house that sadly doesn't have distribution in the States anymore. They do have shipments to the USA from their USA website, but it's flying around again. But I gotta pause this video. I really gotta end this video because I gotta kill this sucker. So anyway, that's Serge Lutens L'Orpheline. A really, really awesome fragrance from the house. And I think I remember where the second time I mentioned this prior to this video. It hasn't aired yet. I actually did shoot a Serge Lutens deep dive video, and that might air before this or after this, most likely this video. So that's Serge Lutens L'Orpheline. And the last fragrance I want to talk to you guys about is Puredistance Gold. Now, I'd never experienced Puredistance ever. I mean, I knew about the brand, and I see them all the time at Essence. For some reason, I guess I never really clicked with the brand. I don't know what it is, but I was sampling fragrances while I was at Javoy in Paris and really loved this one. Once again, I think it's a cheaper style. This is a bit more classic leaning. It's Puredistance Gold. I think it's created by Antoine Lee. Who's familiar with this perfumer? Who's a fan of this house? I've never seen... I mean, I think Lucky Scent carries the brand, but I've never seen it at any of the stores that I visit that's not Lucky Scent. Because Lucky Scent has a huge catalog of fragrances, but not all of them are in store. It's more like an online store kind of a thing. But a lot of the stores I visit, like ZGO, Ministry of Scent, and some other stores that I've gone to, I've never seen this brand. But what I really like about this one, it does have a golden ambery quality. It's got a vintage quality as well. It's super spicy, but there's a sticky ambery muskiness in there as well. Really, really fell in love with it. Yeah, it does have some slight funk in there, but it's nicely blended with all the other notes. It just smells complex and intense and super, super awesome, like long-lasting qualities and all that good stuff. And it wears really, really sexy as well. The only thing is it does have a little bit of the funk. It's got a little bit of a sweaty muskiness, but also I think maybe the fact that it's a bit classic leaning, maybe it might be a turnoff to some folks. But if you like those kind of fragrances, definitely try this one. Because I know the brand has a lot of different offerings, a lot. I go back again and then sample some of these fragrances again because I'm intrigued by the collection now, and I also like their bottles. I think the box is a bit too big for this bottle, but I think I can see where they're coming from. They're trying to make an uber luxurious experience. But this is a 60 ml bottle. It's Extrait de Parfum at 36% concentration. So yeah, it is long lasting. And that's the last fragrance until I get to the Zili fragrances, which I totally forgot about because we do have those as well. All right, so last bunch of fragrances are the Zili fragrances, and I'll show them to you. We've got Blue Titanium. These bottles are really gorgeous, by the way. We have my favorite, Cashmere Noir. Love that fragrance. It's created by Delphine Lebeau. This is Eclat de... Wait, which one is it? No, let's talk about this one first. Queer Imperial. And then we have Eclat de Cuivre. So this one is created by Corinne de Breuil-Sereni. The other three are created by Delphine Lebeau, who also has created the Louboutin that I spoke about. So the only one I find to be a bit mass market and boring is the Blue Titanium. Although I should say it's done a little bit more luxurious and quality way in comparison to more mass market fragrances like Y and the new Drakkar Blue, because it reminds me of those two fragrances. This is a bit more luxurious smelling. It's a bit fruity and fresh and kind of aromatic, but it's a very modern take on fougere, and it smells so mass. But once you get past that kind of mass experience, it settles to a bit more of a luxury mass experience, because it does smell a little bit better than those fragrances, but still not my favorite of the bunch. That's Blue Titanium. And then my favorite is Cashmere Noir. So good. But remember I mentioned the bottoms of the bottles were cracked. I think it was... This one also has a bit of a crack, because they came in padded envelopes, but the padded envelopes look like they had gone through a lot. But Cashmere Noir, guys, if you are looking for a new fragrance for the winter, get yourself a bottle. It's so good. So, so good. It's super spicy, ambery, and it's resinous, and it's a bit smoky also. But on skin, it's so sexy. It's slightly sweet and resinous, as I said. It could also be slightly leathery, because it's getting, you know, giving us a smoky vibe. But it's a nice fusion of like resins and amber with some more sexier notes, spices and things like that mixed in together. On my skin, it's great. It smells fantastic, and an awesome, awesome designer fragrance. I remember when I was first starting to do these videos and was really intrigued by the fragrances that Mugler was launching, I could see this being in the bottle of A Taste of Fragrance or something, or maybe like a B-Men or something, because it's got a super sexy smell. It's sweet, it's spicy, maybe a bit boozy, a bit ambery, but smelling really delicious. So that's Cashmere Noir. $60, I think, for that. So Cuir Imperial, also by Delphine Lebeau, and then Eclat de Cuivre by Corinne de Bruhl-Sereni, do remind me of Leighton. Leighton, with this Cuir Imperial, it's a bit leathery take on the Leighton, for sure. And I don't understand why they did another fragrance called Eclat de Cuivre and then also made it smelling like Leighton. But the Eclat de Cuivre doesn't have the leather that Cuir Imperial does. Both of them smell great. I do like the Leighton DNA myself. And of course, we know Corinne de Bruhl-Sereni has done her takes on Leighton with two other fragrances. Of course, Mauboussin Star for men, and then also Lalique's White and Black. And then we've got this by her also, which reminds us of Leighton. But I could totally skip the Blue Titanium. I don't care for it. But the other three are quite good. And my favorite being Cashmere Noir. Cashmere Noir, I haven't smelled in a fragrance like that before. Of course, the other two I have smelled Leighton, so it's a reminder. But I don't have anything similar to this. So that's why I like it a lot, because I'm wearing something truly original. Sure, it might remind you of some other fragrances. I haven't found anything yet, but I find that to be so super awesome. So check that out. Check out the Zelie fragrances. Great fragrances. And again, as I was saying, it's interesting that I fell in love with 3 fragrances by Delphine Lebeau, which kind of a small world kind of a thing. Anyway, that's the haul video for you guys. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Are you a fan? Which one sounds great to you? Let me know. Put a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching today. If you like these longer deep dive videos, I have a whole playlist of them. In fact, I'll add this video to that playlist as well, and I'll link it in the info box. You can click on that playlist and watch all the videos back to back and learn a lot about fragrances that I'm discussing. If you have any ideas for future deep dive videos, do add a comment and let me know what you'd like to see. I am working on a fruity video, although I think that might air before this. Who knows? We've got some videos that are being planned so that I can air them while I'm gone. But let me know if you have any ideas for future videos. Do add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. Please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up for this video, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.